Hi guys, welcome back to Quarantine Coffee and Jesus. Yes, I'm in the back seat of a car. I cannot record these things in a house full of people. So this was the next best thing. So welcome to Quarantine Coffee and Jesus Car Edition. Just switching things up on you guys. So the past few weeks we have been going through the spiritual disciplines. And spiritual disciplines are these things for us to be able to do and to practice to become closer to God, to work on a relationship with Jesus. And today I'm going to go over the spiritual discipline of frugality. And the practice of frugality is taking deliberate action to move away from this obsession of having more or doing more, and getting rid of that obstacle to focus more on a relationship with God. And when I hear the word frugality, my mind immediately goes to money. Now I want to touch on money briefly, but I don't want that to be the main focus of this. Jesus talked a lot about money in his ministry, and I think he did that because he knows how important money is. He knows that we need money to live, to be able to take care of our needs and our family's needs, and to also do those things that we desire and that we want to do. Money is a big thing. We can't live without it. It's a big topic, and I could probably go on and on about it, of like how to use your money wisely and how to not spend it on useless things that don't matter, how to bless others, how to use money as a tool to further the kingdom of heaven. All good things. Money can be used for good things. But that's not what I want to focus on. I think just with what's going on in our world today, this whole quarantine thing, I want to talk about the practice of being frugal with your time. Like everything I just said about money, you can replace with time. It's basically the same thing. And I think we can all agree that during this quarantine, we have had a lot of time on our hands. And before this quarantine started, before I was actually forced to slow down, I was running at like 100 miles per hour. I was constantly doing stuff, filling my time, not necessarily with bad things, like all good things. Like I was doing Bible studies and hanging out with people and friends and helping people. Some not good things like binge watching Netflix all weekend. I was constantly busy. I was constantly doing things. I wouldn't get home till 9, 10 o'clock. I feel like my roommates barely even knew who I was or if I even lived there. And when I didn't have anything to do, like on the weekends or my days off, I would go insane. I would immediately try to find something to do with my time. I couldn't just be still and not do anything. So when this quarantine started, I made a to-do list with all of the things that I was going to get done with this extra time that I have. Because remember, I was so busy before, I didn't have time to do all of these things. So I didn't want to waste any time. I wanted to get the most out of this, to do so much and catch up on my life. But God had other plans for me. Not one thing on that to-do list that I made in the beginning of this thing got done. Nothing got done. But what happened was that God just like so patiently and gently just slowed me down. And it was like the best thing that could have happened to me. I needed it so badly. He just taught me that it's okay to not do all of these things. That it's okay to just be and to be present and just to be with him. I mean, that's ultimately what he wants, is for us to just spend time with him, for us to just be present, because that's where he is found. He's only found in the present moment. He's not found in the past. He's not found in the future. He's right here, right now, and we can only experience him when we slow down and when we're present with him. And thinking back to my life prior to all this, like I was just wasting all that time. I wasn't doing anything that really truly mattered. I wasn't spending quality time with God. I wasn't working on my relationship with him or really the other relationships in my life. Like I was just running. I was avoiding working through these things that God has been just so patiently waiting to work on me with. I'm an avoider, so I avoid feelings or emotions or hard things or problems that I need to deal with. Like I just run away from it all. So I really was like anything but present before this quarantine happened. And I think the reason why we tend to do that and why we aren't frugal with our time and why we don't spend it wisely, same with our money too, is because of fear. we are scared that we won't have enough money to provide for our needs or our family's needs. We're afraid that if we don't do all these things, we're not going to measure up and we're not going to prove ourselves to people. We're scared that if we stop running and just slow down, like all those feelings, all those emotions, all those problems are just going to come crashing down on us. Really what we're doing is not trusting God. We're not trusting that he's going to do what he says he's going to do and that he's going to provide for us. And just walk through all these things with us. We try to do it ourselves because we don't think that God is going to do it for us. So I'm going to refer to a section in Matthew, in the book of Matthew, which is the New Testament. In the New Testament, in the Sermon of the Mount, which has seemed to be a theme throughout all of these videos that we've been doing. I think everybody has taken verses out of Matthew, specifically the Sermon on the Mount. And it just makes sense because it's like the Sermon on the Mount is all these things that Jesus was telling all of us of basically like how to bring the kingdom of heaven into our everyday lives, like how to practice those, like the spiritual disciplines. So I'm going to read a section, or I want to refer to a section, the last part of chapter 6. I encourage you guys, I'm not going to read this all, I encourage you guys to read through chapter 6, verses 19 through 34, because basically it's like everything I just talked about. But I want to read and refer to the last 4 verses of chapter 6. So starting in verse 31, therefore do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the Gentiles seek after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. So basically what this is saying is like, we don't need to worry about tomorrow. We don't need to worry about what's going to happen. We don't need to keep living our lives trying to get more and do more and run around doing all these things that we think is going to fulfill us and to take care of us. Like if I can just get more, if I can just do more, then I'll be okay. God is going to take care of us, no matter what. Like he is going to provide for us. He just wants us to trust him. And when we worry about all of these things, like we're not present. We're always thinking in the future or in the past. We miss out on all the things that he has for us. All those beautiful things. We miss out on him. And that's what he wants to give to us. He wants to give himself. And we can only find that when we slow down and when we just become present and just be with him. So as we start going back into our normal lives, out of this quarantine, so how do we embrace the slowness and be good stewards of our time and our money? And what I think that's going to take is just us being intentional. I think being intentional with our time and our money and setting boundaries so we're spending our time wisely and doing the things that actually matter. And just being present in our relationship with God and our relationships with others. And I think to help us to do that and to go through that, I think we just need to ask ourselves some questions. Like when we're trying to decide how to spend my time or what I should do. Same with money as well. Like, is this going to help this relationship? Is this going to make it better? Is it going to fill me up and give me what I need to continue on? Is this going to help my relationship with God? Like, is this going to bring him glory? Or am I doing this for my own selfish needs and my own selfish desires? Am I going to binge watch Netflix because I worked hard and I want to and I deserve to? Or is this because I'm avoiding dealing with something that I know that I need to deal with? Am I avoiding a hard conversation? Am I avoiding something that is going to be painful and take a lot of hard work? I know that's what I do. Like I said, I'm an avoider. I do all these things and keep busy to avoid dealing with my emotions and my feelings because that's what's easier. It's way less painful. So how are you spending your time? Same with your money. Like, how are you spending that? Am I spending this the way that Jesus wants me to spend it? Am I becoming more like Jesus through these actions? And that's what these spiritual disciplines are. Practices to get closer to God and become more like Jesus. And that takes time. Spending your time wisely takes time, and it takes practice. So through this quarantine, I did get one thing done on my to-do list. I lied. I read one book through this quarantine, or I finished it because I started it before quarantine. But it's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and it is so good. I recommend everybody to read this book. It's so good, especially for this time right now. Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. So it talks about just how we live in this just life of hurry, and what are how many problems just come from that, from not being present. And he talks about, in the last part of the book, some of the spiritual disciplines that we've been going through. And he talks about this one spiritual discipline that he kind of added. That's not technically a discipline, but I think it just fits so well into what I'm talking about. But it's the spiritual discipline of slowing, of just slowing down, of intentionally putting yourself in situations where you have to wait, like picking the longest line in the grocery store, or driving the speed limit, like not driving under the speed limit because that's just annoying, but not like driving even over the speed limit, like just going what the limit is, or taking a route that you know has traffic at the time, like intentionally putting yourself in situations to practice being present and to just pray, to just be with God. So that's what I encourage you guys to do this week, to intentionally put yourself in a situation where you have to wait. It'll be good. I promise. It'll be so good. So yeah, thank you for listening to this. Stay tuned the rest of this week and next week. We're going to be going through more of the spiritual disciplines. So thank you for listening. We love you guys. We'll see you later. Bye.